Have you ever caught yourself in that distressing moment, looking at your cell phone and seeing that a woman has simply ignored you? He doesn't respond to messages, doesn't pay attention to you, and worst of all, you keep asking yourself, what did I do wrong? The bruised ego, the mind in turmoil, that feeling of loss of control. I know exactly what it's like. I've been through this too. I felt small, not knowing what to do, thinking I was losing everything. But what if I told you there was a way to turn the tide? That instead of despairing, you can destroy her ego in an intelligent, strategic way, without having to humiliate yourself or sink deeper into frustration? I know, it may seem counterintuitive. After all, our first reaction when we are ignored is to try to fill the void, look for answers. But what really works is adopting the mindset of Stoicism, where you free yourself from this emotional prison, and it will move her in ways you never imagined. Now, imagine, you react differently, act calmly and confidently, and in the end, the one in control is no longer her, but you. When she ignores you, you'll know exactly what to do. Want to learn how? Let's take this step together. Sorry for the error. Here is the corrected version. Let's get to the content, but first, check if you are already subscribed to this channel, because here I will bring a series of videos like this that will teach you how to transform moments of frustration into opportunities for personal growth and emotional control. Understand the dynamics human interactions, especially in the context of relationships between men and women, are a complex game of verbal and nonverbal communication, where even silence can carry significant weight. When a woman ignores you, it's common for automatic thoughts to arise, leading to assumptions about rejection or contempt. However, a closer look reveals that her behavior is less about who you are and more about what she seeks or feels about herself. Understanding this dynamic is essential to prevent you from reacting impulsively, compromising your posture and self-confidence. In many cases, when a woman chooses to ignore a man, it can be a form of emotional testing. This behavior is not exclusive to women, but it frequently appears in situations where social validation is a relevant element. The person who ignores is often analyzing the emotional reactions that their attitude provokes. Silence can be a tool used to measure the security, emotional maturity, and level of self-control of whoever is placed in this situation. Reacting in an exacerbated way, whether with insistent messages or visibly disturbed behavior, is the opposite of what is expected from someone who remains confident in their own worth. However, it's not just about testing. Modern life, full of commitments, digital distractions, and constantly changing priorities, can cause anyone, including her, to temporarily distance themselves from some interactions. Ignoring may be more a reflection of overwhelm or lack of immediate connection than of any deliberate intention to be dismissive. Therefore, it is vital that you avoid personalizing the actions of others, as not everything is a direct reflection of who you are or your value as an individual. Faced with this scenario, the key to dealing with the situation is to stay focused on controlling your reactions. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we have no control over the choices of others, but we have full ability to shape our own responses. When you don't let yourself be affected by external attitudes, you demonstrate a strength that transcends the superficiality of emotional games. This does not mean ignoring or repressing your feelings, but rather staying balanced, analyzing situations rationally, and acting in accordance with your principles. Another important point is to recognize that no human interaction is completely free from learning. Even when you are ignored, there is something to be learned about social dynamics and about yourself. Ask yourself, is there anything about my behavior that I can adjust or improve? Am I seeking connections for healthy motivations or just to validate my own self-worth? These reflections can turn an uncomfortable experience into an opportunity for personal growth. Once you stop seeking external approval and focus on building a solid foundation of internal trust, you take control of the dynamic. This is naturally noticed by those around you, including the person who initially ignored you. When you don't flinch or react predictably, you send a clear message that your worth isn't dependent on someone's attention or validation. Therefore, when faced with a woman's silence or lack of response, avoid falling into the trap of desperately wanting to fix or understand the situation. Remember that serenity and the ability to accept what is beyond your control are demonstrations of true strength. The dynamic changes when you choose to act with dignity, without wasting time with unnecessary questions. Stoicism is not about not feeling, but about not being a slave to your feelings. That is the true mark of a man who understood the dynamic. Embrace serenity, The Stoic response to silence, controlling our reactions to behaviors that destabilize us, is an essential principle for anyone who wants to live with balance. When a woman chooses not to respond or distances herself, it is normal for the ego to want to take control, looking for justifications or ways to regain attention. However, Stoicism teaches us a completely opposite approach. Instead of giving in to the impulse to react, we must cultivate serenity. This silent behavior is often not about you, but rather a reflection of her motivations, which can range from a desire to test your emotional stability to legitimate distractions in other areas of her life. Just as Epictetus taught, it is not events that disturb us, but the vision we have of them. In other words, the problem is not in her attitude, but in how you interpret this lack of communication. The first step is to recognize that you have no control over other people's choices. Trying to influence or change the way she acts is a losing battle. The real control is in how you decide to act. You can face silence with confidence and dignity, without letting yourself be shaken. Showing yourself calm in moments like this is not a sign of weakness, but of emotional maturity. When you avoid chasing or reacting emotionally, the impact is profound. Imagine a person who, when ignored, remains calm and focused on their priorities. This behavior sends a powerful message. You don't depend on external validation to feel good about yourself. Rather than desperately seeking attention, a calm posture communicates that you have a sense of self-sufficiency. This also involves the art of not giving in to temptations to act impulsively. Don't send messages trying to get explanations, or look for signs to interpret the reasons for her silence. Instead, focus on keeping your routine unchanged, allowing the situation to take its natural course. This stability is not only attractive, but also liberating. One of the most emblematic stories that illustrates the practice of serenity is that of Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who faced political and personal crises with unshakable calm. He understood that you have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This teaching, although ancient, remains as relevant today as it was then. The essence of serenity is mastery over oneself. Being stoic does not mean being indifferent or insensitive, but rather consciously choosing how to respond to adversity. By adopting this principle, you become resilient, demonstrating that your inner peace does not depend on circumstances or the behavior of others. This is the true essence of being unshakable. If she eventually notices your calmness and resumes contact, her reaction should be equally calm. It's not about ignoring out of revenge or holding a grudge, but about showing that you are a mature person, capable of dealing with silence without losing your balance. This attitude is not only impressive, but also establishes a standard of mutual respect. Therefore, embrace Stoicism and let your serenity speak louder. Another person's silence does not have the power to define your value. Only you can do this, and the choice of how to react is entirely in your hands. Focus on growth, turning silence into opportunity when someone chooses to walk away or ignore you. The initial impulse may be to try to understand what went wrong, as if something in you needed external approval to be validated. However, Stoicism teaches us that these moments of apparent rejection are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth. This is where the key to turning the tide is found. Instead of investing energy in what is out of your control, redirect that focus to yourself and your progress. Imagine silence as a silent invitation for you to reconnect with your priorities. How often do external distractions keep us away from what really matters? When you decide to use this space to develop your skills, expand your knowledge, or take care of your physical and mental well-being, you transform a seemingly negative situation into a driving force. This is what the Stoics would call practicing virtue. That is, using every situation as an opportunity to become a better version of yourself. A practical example of this principle is investing in your body and mind. The philosopher Seneca believed that discipline was a fundamental virtue in achieving true freedom. By redirecting energy that could otherwise be wasted on worrying, you can dedicate yourself to physical exercise, which not only strengthens your body, but also boosts your confidence. Plus, exploring new hobbies or learning something new can open doors you didn't even know existed. This approach not only benefits you, but also transforms how others perceive you. A person who is continually growing in all areas of life exudes a different energy. This change is palpable. People around you begin to notice that your attention is not on what you lost, but on what you are building. This confidence, derived from continuous effort, becomes magnetic. Marcus Aurelius, in his writings, emphasized that the soul becomes dyed by the color of its thoughts. This means that what you choose to focus on shapes who you are. If your mind is focused on progress and improvement, this essence will begin to shine through in everything you do. Practically, think about the areas of your life that can be improved. It's time to start a project that was shelved, invest in a course you've always wanted to take, or simply establish habits that promote your health and well-being. A person who prioritizes their personal growth sends a clear message. Their life is interesting and full of purpose, with or without validation from others. This emotional independence is one of the greatest pillars of Stoicism. You not only demonstrate self-reliance, but you also establish a standard of self-respect that inevitably attracts respect from others. And by dedicating yourself to growth, you will not only be using your time productively, but also strengthening your ability to deal with future adversity. After all, each step taken towards your personal progress is a brick in building a more solid and satisfying life. If, at some point, that person who ignored you shows interest again, they will find someone different, a renewed and empowered version of you. Not out of revenge or an attempt to impress, but because you took her silence as a chance to evolve. This is the greatest triumph you can achieve, not just overcoming the situation, but using it as leverage for something greater. Focus on what really matters. Make personal growth your response to silence. After all, in the game of life, those who thrive are not those who beg for attention, but those who naturally attract it, simply by living according to their values and goals. Well, we're already more than halfway through the content, and I realize that you still haven't left a like on this video. This is very important so that YouTube continues to promote our content to you, and in this way we will continue to help you. So leave a like on this video, which is for free, right? Continuing change the game. Applying reverse psychology with elegance in relationships. The power is not in who makes the most effort, but in who knows how to control the dynamics wisely. Reverse psychology is a strategy that, when used subtly, can completely change the narrative, making it clear that you are the author of your own story. Instead of seeking validation, you learn to create attraction naturally, repositioning yourself as the central figure in your own life. When someone ignores you, your instinct may be to seek answers or strive to gain attention. However, this approach is an emotional trap. Showing controlled indifference is a powerful way to change the dynamic. It's not about returning silence with resentment, but rather about projecting calm and security. When you don't react impulsively, you send a message of self-sufficiency, something that naturally attracts respect and curiosity. Consider a scenario where you simply focus on living well. You start posting moments that reflect growth, joy, and success, not to provoke, but to demonstrate that your life is rich and full of purpose. This behavior, inspired by Stoic principles, is not about showing off. It's about prioritizing your own evolution and letting others realize this without the need for explanations. Epictetus, one of the great thinkers of Stoicism, stated that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Often, when we feel ignored, we create scenarios in our minds that amplify the discomfort. But by reversing this energy, we can transform what seemed like a weakness into a position of strength. The key is to demonstrate that your happiness does not depend on someone else's attention. It is also important to understand that ignoring gracefully does not mean creating emotional distance in a cold way, but rather establishing healthy boundaries. This approach is not a manipulation game, but a way to protect your well-being. By consciously applying reverse psychology, you take control of the situation without compromising your principles. When the other person notices that you are not chasing or trying to justify your silence, this will inevitably spark curiosity. The absence of emotional reaction is often more effective than any attempt at explanation or defense. The impact of this is even greater when you demonstrate that you are busy investing in yourself. If this person eventually resumes contact, respond naturally, without mentioning the period of distance. Showing that you are not affected is a clear demonstration of emotional maturity. There's no need to emphasize that you were fine. Your actions have already shown that. This strategy also works as a lesson in self-worth. When you set high standards for yourself, you teach others how you want to be treated. Showing that you don't rely on external confirmation puts you in a position of strength. You stop being a passive participant and take on the role of protagonist. As you consciously apply reverse psychology, you not only change the other person's perception, but also strengthen your self-confidence. This process, aligned with Stoic principles, is a reminder that your inner peace should always come first. What once seemed like an uncomfortable situation now becomes an opportunity for personal growth and reaffirmation. After all, in the game of life, whoever controls their emotions controls the board. By elegantly applying reverse psychology, you not only change the dynamic, you redefine your own place in it. Master emotional control, your invisible strength in a world where emotions often control our actions. True power lies in those who can master them. The ability to remain steadfast in times of challenge is an essential characteristic for those who wish to achieve excellence and respect. When faced with someone's silence or indifference, especially in relationship situations, it is common to feel the temptation to react impulsively. However, Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in responding with composure, demonstrating an emotional control that few can achieve. Imagine a scenario where you send a message to someone and receive no response. Anxiety begins to set in, the mind races to negative interpretations, and before you know it, you are reevaluating every detail of your previous interaction. This is exactly when Stoicism offers a practical solution. Stop, breathe, and remember that your emotions are under your command. No matter what is happening on the other side, what really matters is how you choose to react. By internalizing Stoic principles, you understand that not everything is under your control. It's not about suppressing emotions, but about recognizing them and deciding what to do with them. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest practitioners of Stoicism, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This reflection reminds us that no one can take away our inner peace unless we allow it. To apply this in practice, start by developing self-awareness. When you feel irritation or sadness coming on, ask yourself, why am I reacting like this? Will this reaction change anything in the situation? Most of the time, you will find yourself wasting emotional energy on something you cannot change. Choose, then, to respond with serenity. This balance alone sets you apart from most people. Demonstrating emotional control is also incredibly attractive. Men who remain calm in challenging situations stand out as natural leaders. They exude confidence, and this attracts the admiration of others, including those who initially ignored them. When you react calmly, without losing your composure, the other person realizes that they have no power over their emotions, completely changing the dynamics of the interaction. Practicing this emotional mastery requires consistency. Small daily exercises can help you build this skill. Meditation, for example, is a powerful tool for training the mind to observe thoughts and emotions without getting carried away by them. Furthermore, intense physical activities, such as running or weight training, help to channel energy in a positive way, strengthening not only the body, but also the mind. Another effective strategy is negative visualization, a Stoic practice where you imagine the worst possible scenarios, but with acceptance. This is not pessimism. On the contrary, it is a way of preparing the mind to deal with challenges without surprise or despair. If you have already imagined and accepted the possibility of being ignored, the reality will have much less emotional impact. When you master your reactions, you not only become stronger, but you also inspire respect. People begin to realize that you are someone who is not easily shaken, someone who maintains her dignity in any situation. This creates an aura of power that goes beyond words. And ironically, often those who initially ignored your presence end up seeking your attention, attracted by this stability. Remember, however, that the goal is not to manipulate or prove something to others, but rather to find peace with yourself. Stoicism teaches that true victory is internal, not being a slave to your emotions, and instead using your mental strength as a compass to navigate any situation. Calm is your secret weapon, and emotional control is what puts you in charge of your own life. So, now that you know the strategies that transform a situation of ignorance into an opportunity for growth, it's time to put them into practice. Remember, the key is to act wisely and not be hostage to emotional impulse. Stoicism teaches exactly that, controlling what we can control and letting the rest go. When you free yourself from the ego and act calmly, you not only become stronger, but you also create a dynamic where control is with you. It's not about ignoring feelings, but about not letting them take over your life. True strength comes from knowing what to do in moments of uncertainty. So, when she ignores you, you will know how to react in a way that will impact the situation in a positive way, for you and for her. Now, I want you to put everything you've learned into practice and see what happens. It's not just about gaining her attention, It's about gaining your own peace and confidence. If you really want to turn these moments of frustration into personal growth, the change starts with you. Until next time, and remember, control is power. Thank you for watching this far. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue receiving the next content. Until the next video.